Welcome to How Leaders Lead. I'm Kula Callahan, here to bring you another edition of 3 More Questions with David Novak. David, we've got a fun one to debrief today. We're talking about your conversation with Fawn Weaver. She's the founder and CEO of Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey. And this woman is a freaking powerhouse of a leader.
You're right about that, Kula. She is just an absolute force of nature, and there's nothing that has ever gotten her in her way to really pursue the thing that she wants to get done. And I think this is a podcast that everybody should listen to because her entire life is just a story of leadership and how to innovate and how to overcome adversity and just how to really make a dent in the world. And she's certainly done that.
She definitely has. I mean, she has a level of intensity and passion about what she does that you don't come across often. And it was so fun hearing you two talk in the episode. I especially loved the battle of who knows the Bible better, which you conceded to her. But this,
that was an easy one. That was a very easy one. I was quoting my minister, and she would quote every chapter and verse of the Bible. In fact, when you listen to that episode, we kind of got into a little bit of a discussion.
A little tough.
Man, she fired off like a 2-page email afterwards to tell me just how right she was. And guess what? She was right. There was no question about that.
She knows her stuff, that is for sure. Her energy is so contagious. So if you haven't listened to the episode, definitely go back and give it a listen. It's episode 210. Today, though, David, I've got 3 more questions for you. Are you ready?
All right, let's go with number 1. Here we are.
Question 1. Fawn and her team just built out a $50 million distillery in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is about an hour south of Nashville. And in the episode, you asked her what gave her the gumption to really go after a project of that size. And her response was that it was for the press story. She said, if it weren't for this gigantic distillery that we built out, we wouldn't get any press for it. And so that's what really gave her the confidence to build out this big distillery that's now the 7th most visited distillery in the world. David, what's your take on that? I mean, would you have done the same thing, built out this giant distillery just for the press?
Well, I think the first thing I'd say about Fawn is she really studied the industry, and she knew that to really have credibility, you had to have a significant distillery, and that's exactly what she created. And as you mentioned, it's the 7th most visited distillery in the world, and that leads to a lot of income. And she knew, with the story behind Uncle Nearest, which you can learn more about in the episode, that distillery combined with the richness of the story of that brand, combined with the fact that it basically won every award in the whiskey business for a number of years that you could possibly win. She felt that would give her the inertia that would make the brand get momentum and really take off. And I think they've almost had 2 years of 100% year over year revenue growth. So it's doing just that. But I don't think she made that decision in a willy-nilly fashion. She knew what she needed to do. She also leveraged her strength. She had a great background, or has a great background in PR. And she is really great at that. In fact, they track the number of PR stories they get, not in a month, but every week. And she thinks that's how you really build a cachet for a whiskey brand. And that's exactly what's happening. So, I don't know that I would have done the same thing, because I don't know if I'm as smart as this woman. I mean, she is incredible. But I'd like to think that if I made a decision, I'd know what it would take to really be successful in the industry. And I'd like to play to my strengths. And I'll tell you what, she did exactly that. And hats off to her. I really admire her a lot.
I think the stat she shared, David, was that they get mentioned 5 times a day, 5 days a week in the press. And that's just incredible. And like you said, it's playing to her strengths. She knows how that business works, and she knows what a big impact it can have on the growth and recognition of a brand.
I'm glad you corrected me, because if you hadn't have corrected me and gone to a greater extent to explain exactly how big her PR engine is, I'd be getting another email that would set me straight.
Oh, that's so good. All right.
I'm just kidding. I love this woman. She is phenomenal. But I'll tell you what, you better know your stuff when you talk to her.
Question number 2. One of Fawn's greatest strengths is that she doesn't look backwards. She says that difficult scenarios don't come to people just to be difficult. Every difficulty is wrapped around a gift. And the faster you can mine that gift, the quicker you can learn from it and move on. David, you too are a leader who mines every scenario for insights. What advice can you give leaders about mining for the gem in difficult scenarios?
Well, I think that Fawn wakes up every day with a learning mindset. And no matter what comes her way, she's going to learn from it, come hell or high water. And that's the approach that she takes. And I think that's the reason why she's successful. So, I think as a leader, the biggest thing you can do is to learn how to really observe and listen and learn, and then take that learning that you get and apply it to something that's really going to grow your business. And she doesn't let failures get in her way. I don't think she really looks at failures as failures. I think she really looks at them as learning opportunities. And she's also a person that is very convicted about whatever she does. So she's going to go into it 100%, and if it doesn't work, she's going to learn from it. So it'll be better the next time around. And I think that's what really drives her success. And so there's a lot to be learned from the approach that she takes.
And by the way, this isn't a leader who just has a bad day every now and then. I mean, Fawn's story is one that's just incredibly inspiring. Like you said, David, she left home at age 15, lived in homeless shelters until she was 18. And even in those scenarios, she looks at them as opportunities to learn from and ones that really shaped who she is and how she leads.
Yeah, and I think when that's sort of in the woods, so to speak, because that's how you've basically lived your life, and you've learned from your upbringing, which she certainly did. I think that's something that you carry forward. She actually, if you recall, she talked about the fact that she tried to commit suicide twice in her 20s, and she said she just couldn't pull it off. And she said, "That just kinda told me that I can't be stopped. There's nothing that's gonna get in my way. I can't even kill myself when I try, so nothing's gonna stop me." And I think that's an attitude that she takes forward in everything that she does now. And, it's a big driver.
Question number 3. Fawn believes her team's strength comes from hiring intrapreneurs, people with an entrepreneurial mindset who prefer autonomy in their work. They just want to do their job and be left alone. Now, this type of employee may not suit every company, but it works really well with Fawn's leadership style and with the culture that they have at Uncle Nearest. David, how should leaders approach defining the ideal type of employee that aligns with their company's needs and culture?
Well, I think in Fawn's case, she really understands who she is and what she's all about, and what type of team member is really gonna complement her. And she's clearly the visionary. She's clearly the person that sets a high standard. She's clearly the person that is the most passionate about her business. And so she really casts a tremendous shadow, and so much so that her passion is so extreme, and she's so convicted. I asked her how in the hell somebody would really work for her. And, she said, well, she found these entrepreneurs who really knew their stuff and could add more value in their area of expertise than she knew. And then she would give them the autonomy to perform. And I think that here's a case where the leader knows exactly who she is and what she needs to take their business to the next level. So, I think whether she would define it this way or not, she really understood the strategy for the company. And then she really understood and communicated the kind of culture that she wanted to have, people who really took ownership for what they do and were passionate about what they did, and really knew their stuff cold. And then what she did is she structured around that kind of culture, with the kind of people who could really complement her and make Uncle Nearest become the brand that it is. And she I asked her about celebrity brands. There's a lot of celebrity brands in the world of spirits, and she said, this can't be some sort of like hobby. This can't be like a what you call it, a side hustle. Yeah, she
Mhm,
said this can't
mhm.
be a side hustle. You got to be all in. And I'll tell you what, in her company, anybody that joins that team needs to be all in, and that's just the way how it is. And so I think she's really followed a strategy, then structure around the needs to execute that strategy, and hire people that'll reinforce the kind of culture and work behaviors that she absolutely expects in her people. And I think she's getting it done that way.
It reminds me of something you've said on an earlier Three More Questions episode, David, that autonomy is an earned right. So there's clearly a very high level of trust among her employees, too, or else she wouldn't be okay with just giving people the freedom to go where they want to go, to get the work done however they want to get it done, as long as it's done with excellence and completed on time. She said, I don't care if you get your goals done working at an office or on the beach in Ibiza, as long as you get it done and it's to the standard we expect, I'm good.
Absolutely, and there's no question when you listen to her, you better get it done.
That is absolutely correct. Well, that does it for our episode of Three More Questions for today. Thank you so much for tuning into How Leaders Lead. We're on a mission to make the world a better place by developing better leaders. And if you carve out a little time with us each and every week, we'll help you build the confidence you need to lead well.
And once again, I really encourage you to listen to this episode with Fawn. I learned a lot just doing it, and she's a very inspirational leader who knows her business cold, and nothing gets in her way of executing what she believes needs to be done. And I think everybody can learn from that. And I also think that everybody's going to learn from our next guest on How Leaders Lead, John Payton. He's the CEO of Dine Brands, which is IHOP, Applebee's, and Fuzzy Taco Shop. And John is a really good thinker and is doing some very interesting things at Dine Brands. So I know you'll pick up some more insights here as well.